Hey, I'm Lainey Lipsky, parenting coach and master teacher. And I am here today to continue talking about the ever juicy topic of discipline. This is the big topic parents reach out to me about. They want to know, how can I discipline my kids without yelling, without spanking, without shaming my kids, without bribing my kids, without repeating myself 1,000 times? What is the secret to getting good behavior and cooperation from my kids, they ask me, without doing all of that other stuff? Because what I hear from parents is that they feel like the only time their kids listen to them is when they eventually yell. And I'm here to tell you that that is not the case. So what I want to do is help you unpack a little bit what is going on in this situation. And if this sounds like if this sounds like, oh, that's true for me, if my kids only listen by the time I asked 1,000,000 times and I yell at the last time they finally listen, then I want you to tune in. I definitely want you to like this video. I want you to subscribe to my channel and take a look in the notes also for some other links that are there for you as well, for other free resources that I've got for you. Now, when it comes to this myth that kids are only going to listen once the parents are yelling, I want to tell you that there is a cycle that has probably been established. It's not a pretty cycle. It's not a fun cycle, and it's certainly not a functional cycle, if we're honest, right? The cycle is one of habit and of repetition. It's the same thing as if you were training a dog. I'm not saying your child is a dog, and I'm not saying to treat your child like a dog, but I'm saying the process is the same for those of you who have dogs and you've done some training with them, that if every time that they are doing the thing you don't want them to do, you're giving them a treat, they're going to keep doing the thing that you don't want them to do, right? Same thing applies, same idea, concept applies to when you're in this kind of cycle with your child. So if your child has been trained over and over again that mom or dad is going to ask again and again and again and again, and they're going to be, not really meaning it until their voice changes, then the cycle has been set. The habit has been set. The pattern has been set. And we want to undo that. We want to interrupt that cycle. We want to break it. And we want to get you empowered so that you can have a more effective line of communication with your child. So there are a couple of things I want you to keep in mind. Number one, anytime you're repeating yourself, you need to know how many times do you have it in you to repeat yourself calmly. I'm usually maxed out at about 2, maybe 3 at best, right? You need to know what your personal number is. Is it possible that your child didn't hear you the first time? Yes. Is it possible that your child isn't taking you seriously the first time? Yes. But does that mean you have to go straight from asking one time to asking calmly 1,000,000 times, let's just say 10 times, I'm exaggerating when I say 1,000,000, of course, to then yelling? Or over time, has it become that you yell right after you ask the first time because you just skip over the repeating yourself? You're like, I might as well yell because I'm out of patience and they're not going to listen to me until. So you need to know what your personal threshold is for repeating yourself. Are you willing to give them a second chance? Or are you trying to really have them respond to you the first time? What it's going to take from the parent is giving the message in a way that the child hears it and having a refusal to repeat yourself any time beyond that, right? You're going to have to, if you want your child to really tune into you the first time that you're asking, it can't be a half-hearted, hey, will you take care of this, from the other room or from the kitchen and they're in the other room. You're not, unless you're willing to scare them or shame them into listening to you, which is not the method of parenting that I teach or that I support. But unless you're willing to do that, you're probably not going to get a response from your child. So if you want them to tune into you as if you mean it, then you need to mean it without being mean, of course, right? So you're going to have to go in and make some eye contact. You're going to have to go in and maybe put your hand on their shoulder, get their attention, and ask them for what you want to either start or you want them to stop. Those two things are the things that really get parents riled up. My child will only stop once I get really mad, or my child will only start once I get really mad. Stopping a behavior or starting a behavior. It's kind of the essence of parenting, of discipline. And I want to also call to your attention that your tone and your level of energy that you bring to your interaction with your child is going to massively affect how they respond to you. Have you ever been asked to do something by somebody who's already clearly pissed off? Probably yes, in your life. I'm going to guess that yes, that's happened to you, right? If that's happened to you, you know how it feels to be on the receiving end of that. It doesn't feel good. Are you more likely to cooperate with that person if they're asking you in an angry way, or are you more likely to cooperate with that person if they're asking you in a respectful way? And I'm just going to add in here that a lot of parents confuse respectful parenting with passive parenting is the word I want to use. Passive parenting. If you think that you are being respectful, but you're actually being passive or too permissive, you're not going to engender the respect from your kids that you want to get. So there are a bunch of things that are going on here, and part of the job of being a parent is figuring out where it's falling short, knowing what your own boundaries are, and figuring out how to communicate effectively with your child. And tone has so much to do with it. Tone is, 90% of our communications. And body language is another huge factor in our communications. The words that we use have very little to do with how our message is received. So I want to encourage you to rethink this whole notion. Think of what you've set up in your family. And you may say to me, Lainey, well, I've only started repeating, I only ended up repeating myself because my child never listened. So you sort of got trained by your child to repeat yourself. I totally get that feeling. So now it's time for you to take the reins back and to stop repeating yourself so that you are not ending up frustrated and yelling. That's the thing to do. And if this is resonating with you, this type of parenting where you have a backbone, you're not being wishy-washy and you're not being a police officer. If this type of parenting is something that you want to explore more, then I'm happy to do that with you. I want you to go to the description below, join my Facebook group because that's where I do some free coaching, and also look at my free class. It is an insider's view, nitty-gritty 5-step process to get the behavior and the cooperation that you want without the bribing, without the repeating yourself, without the spanking, without the yelling, with all the threats, all of the old school parenting stuff. Doesn't work. It doesn't make anybody feel good. And research tells us again and again that that kind of parenting does not get the results that we want as parents, which is happy, successful, respectful kids. It backfires. All of that stuff backfires. So watch the free class, join my Facebook group, and I'll see you next time.